Hi, this is Brian Klug with AnonTech, and we're here with Gabe from Google taking a look at the Nexus 7 and Android 4.3. So take it away.
Hey, so the first thing I want to talk about is the display and the industrial design. Before I get into the display, I think the things that are really important to note: this device is thinner, it's much lighter, it has the same soft touch, and the overall effect is that it's much easier to hold in your hand for long periods of time, like when you're reading a book. Of course, it's easy to hold in landscape with the side bezels as well, for watching movies and playing games. But it's really all about the display. This has the highest density display of any device in this category. It has higher color reproduction, 30% greater gamut of color reproduction, which gives you, a lot more dynamic range in these photographs. You can see they're super crisp, but also the colors, pop amazingly well.
Right.
We have a Flipboard feed, which is particularly cute. It's basically a feed of smiles, which I think has a positive message, right, for the kids. So we really like this. You get a sense of that. And one thing I want to mention is, this is the first device that we're shipping with Android 4.3, which is the new version of the operating system, new version of Jelly Bean. One of the really significant features it has under the hood is OpenGL ES3O support. OpenGL ES3O is the latest in 3D graphics standards. It's the first device to have it, among other things.
So Qualcomm had the drivers ready pretty much all the time.
Yeah, this is the first device shipping with it. One of the most significant things you can see, this is running native rendering in OpenGL ES3O in 1080p. You can see the reflections, the detail on the metal, the detail on the marble. One of the differences is the difference in texture throughput, right? There's more textures per pixel in OpenGL ES3O through texture compression. You can see the difference. I can actually toggle on and off 3.0.
Wow.
And you can see the difference between how crisp the reflections are, right?
Right.
So it's a pretty significant gain.
Nice.
We also have the other demo that we gave on stage, which is a live rendered scene called The Chase, built by Unity. It takes a couple of seconds to power up. It's pretty cool because you can actually go into slow-mo and scrub through the demo, so you can get kind of a closer look at the detail. It takes 15, 20 seconds to power on. And it showcases, again, texture highlights, lighting effects, shadows. Coming up. I gotta warm these up.
Yeah. On stage they always go so fast.
Yes.
I'm like, what happened to loading?
Right. So you can see me slow down the demo so you can get a good look at the character's face, the expression. So the textures in the faces, the lighting effects you see on the screen, the reflections on the actual camera, again. You can slow it down.
Does this use multiple render targets or instancing or any of those features?
I couldn't tell you. James, who's the product manager for the graphics subsystem, is actually standing right there, so you could get a lot more detail on OpenGL from him. Yeah. So in addition to that, one of the things I'd like to show you, and you won't be able to really capture this well on the camera, the audio, but is the surround sound demo.
Right.
So we've been working with Fraunhofer, and they're virtualizing 5.1 surround out of 2 stereo speakers. So we have side-ported stereo speakers on this device, which is great for normal stereo, but for surround content in games,
let's see the back,
music, etc. Yeah,
you got them on the back.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right. So they're there. So what you can hear, and this is going to be difficult in a noisy room. This would be, it works with headphones. It works with the speakers on device. So you can check this out on your own later.
Stereo definitely adds a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to
the surround adds a lot more stage, essentially, to the experience. It feels a lot more immersive, which is great for listening, like you're near a stage in a music concert, you're actually playing a game, you're in the game, it's surround on 2 speakers. It's really interesting technology. I'm really happy that we have it.
What other 4.3 features are you excited about most?
So another feature I can tell you about that I actually have set up on this device is restricted profiles. So restricted profiles is taking the multi-user support that we added in Android 4.2, which lets everybody have a separate space for their own stuff. So I have 2 spaces configured here, one for myself and one for a theoretical other user called Junior.
Sure.
It doesn't have a lock screen. And if I enter this space, you can see this user only has 2 games, right? If I go to the list of all applications, they only have a couple of things that I've selected for them.
Right.
And with restricted profiles, not only can you create a space for a separate user, you can control what apps they can access in that space. And then we created a framework that allows you to configure the settings of the apps within that space as the master user. So if I go back into the primary...
Here we go, okay.
So now I've gone back into the primary user's experience on the device.
Cool.
If I go into settings and I look at users, you can see where I've configured a restricted profile for Junior. I can set a photo, I can set a custom name. But when I go into his settings, I can actually control what applications are on and off.
I see.
And what's more, I can control with certain applications, if they choose to support the framework, like we demonstrated on stage, they can have custom behavior. They can even expose custom settings that are specific to behavior in the restricted profile.
Get their own sandbox then?
Yeah. So each user gets their own sandbox. But it's possible for you to extend the content that you purchased. You hold the form of payment, and if you're using this with like a child, you buy movie content. You can choose to just share the movies application with them, and they can have access to your content. But applications can build in additional restrictions that are configurable via this user setting.
Awesome.
So that's one of the significant features. We also talked about 4.3's the Bluetooth 4.0 support, for low energy devices, Fitbits, heart rate monitors. It's much lower battery consumption on both the peripheral device and the phone or tablet, which is really important.
That's primarily new APIs you've added.
Yes, and we added new APIs so developers can build applications to configure their own pieces of hardware. I've tested some of those. We demoed Runtastic, and there are more coming. What other features do I want to talk about? We have features for the phone, but I don't have a phone in my hand, so I'm not going to show them to you. We've also done some good internationalization work. So we translated to additional 5 languages, including Hindi, Swahili, Hindi and Swahili. We added RTL support across the system, so now we actually have right to left. System navigation, notification, status bar, launcher, settings, all in right to left when you use Arabic or Hebrew, which is nice as well. And those are really the highlights.
Yeah.
Cool. Of 4.3.
Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.